Okay, welcome back to the book called Two Signs and Coincidences from God. We are in part 28. Boy, I think at the last one I thought we were 26 going into 27. Nope, we're 27 going into 28. Here we go, 28, and we're going to continue about the Joe Jackson and Dallas stuff. All right, I headed over to the church to hear Joe Jackson, and when I got there was a sign up that said it was canceled and rescheduled. I thought, what should I do now? Go? Well, I was here. I was led here. The church's service I usually attend had already started. I thought, well, I'm just going to go in anyway. Once in, the pastor greeted me and we talked. He told me Joe could not come because no flights were due into Minneapolis or anywhere close because of the big snowstorm. That same storm collapsed the Dome Stadium, and therefore the Vikings football game that we were going to watch that day was also canceled. Okay, that's kind of interesting. The Dome collapsed. Game canceled. Joe's flight canceled. Joe was going to come in. We were going to watch the game after the service. All that got canceled. I then talked with the pastor about some new signs I was getting about Dallas, and that I think there is a danger to our country and a possible missile attack. I think. He then spoke to me and said, "Would you be okay sharing this with everybody today? I might have you do that. We will see," he said, I thought. Really? Wow, Lord, what is going on? I thought. The pastor told me to pray about it. I had not expected this at all. I expected to hear Joe Jackson. The pastor started the service and he began to speak about signs and getting words from God. He said when things get canceled and changes happen, God is at work. He then told us about how God had given him a word a long, long time ago. Just one word, a simple word, butter. He knew it was from God, but he did not know what it meant or what it was to be. He asked someone he was with at the time if butter meant anything to them, and they said no. So the pastor kept this word and moved on. He then introduced me and said that I have been given some words from God. I spoke about many coincidences and amazing things that God has given me. I talked for quite a while, probably a half hour to 45 minutes or longer, it seemed. I then spoke about Dallas and the Minuteman coincidences. I said I could not confirm that it was going to happen at the Super Bowl, but I suspected that there was a possibility, but I could not say for sure. I had not gotten that confirmation yet. I said that Dallas needed prayer, that something very tragic and serious was about to happen. I broke down and began to cry. I could no longer speak. I gave the mic to the pastor, and he began to share a little more. He then said that when they were getting ready for today that they were bringing over food, and his wife told him to go back to the house and get butter. He then stopped and got this look on his face. We all went, "Whoa, there's the butter." He then said that because the dome collapsed and the game was canceled, he wanted to show something on the screen but didn't have anything. He looked around the house and finally found a DVD that would be appropriate. He then pulled out of his pocket a DVD that said Super Bowl on it. He started to cry and said he did not realize that the word butter God had given him so many years ago was this very same butter that he spoke at this very moment. He then said, "I didn't realize it until I just spoke it out of my mouth this moment." One simple word held for so very long finally means something and now is confirmation of what I had been praying for. Super Bowl. Wow. What patience holding a word that long. Now, putting these two into perspective, had there been no storm, Joe would have spoke. The game would have been played, and I would have never shared this message with the whole congregation. I may not have even had a chance to talk to this particular pastor about these things. What if the flights were canceled, but say the dome didn't collapse? Well, then Joe Jackson would not have come, but the game would have been played and no need to get a DVD that said Super Bowl on it. So all things for a reason, and I believe the signs and coincidences in this series are confirmed. I honestly believe that there was something up with the Super Bowl. January 25th, 2011. Now get this. I was watching a TV show. It was about a woman who lost her husband and trying to make ends meet in the Depression of the 1930s in Canada. The show is called Wind at My Back. It is an old Canadian TV series airing reruns on the INSP network. I had this particular episode DVR'd to watch later. In this episode, the mother overworked herself trying too hard and getting herself too tired, and she got sick, but would not rest. She needed her job and kept working and worked herself to exhaustion and stood up to go to work again and then just passed out. Now, the coincidences happened coincidentally and consecutively. It was 7:30. The president was going to speak at 8 o'clock and give the State of the Union address. So we had a half an hour to wait, and so I told my wife to pick something for the next half hour to watch. She scrolled through the menu guide and selected The Waltons. I hadn't watched an episode of The Waltons in years. The Waltons is also a show about the Great Depression of the 30s. In this particular episode, Jason overworked himself and ran himself ragged and was getting up to go to work again and got up. His mama told him no. He said, "I'm a man and I'm going," and just collapsed and passed out. What are the odds of seeing that twice in a row on two different shows about the Great Depression? Consecutively, when they are not even aired consecutively, because I had one taped. Now, I haven't got the entire meaning of this yet, but I will tell you what I think it means. The depression sinks in here. I see people overworking and trying really hard to survive and just getting sick and exhausted and then collapsing. In the aftermath of what is about to happen, I see people collapsing and I see a state of our country going into depression, but even worse. Oh boy. February 5th, 2011, the night before the Super Bowl. I was filling up my car with gas. It was cold out, but I had on a throwback hoodie with an old Minnesota hockey team on it called the North Stars. I am looking around while getting gas, and I see another guy filling up with gas who is also wearing an old throwback hoodie. No jacket, just a hoodie. And it, too, was a throwback Minnesota North Stars hoodie. Now, this is rare. This team does not exist anymore and hasn't been around for like 20 years. So I am thinking, what does this mean? North Stars, stars, star of the North, North Star in the sky. I am looking up at the sky, wondering, thinking, what does this mean? And then it hits me like a brick. Duh. The Minnesota North Stars, way back when, left Minnesota and moved to Dallas. They then became the Dallas Stars. Wow, I was now really nervous for the Super Bowl tomorrow. God help us. This was at the same gas station where I received the signs about going to Louisiana. I have stopped at that gas station over the past 5 years, maybe 9 or 10 times is all. It is not my regular place I stop at all. 2 of those times I received coincidences. Wow. February 6, 2011. Today the Super Bowl took place. Nothing happened that would indicate any type of emergency, terror attack, or missile attack at all. Many people had prayed that this thing be thwarted. Is that what happened? Now, I look back and I see all these signs that pointed to Dallas, the Super Bowl, the butter thing. Dallas was confirmed a couple of times. I got this Great Depression sign, people getting sick, passing out. I'm nervous. I kid you not. I'm telling everybody to pray. What good would be knowing about something that was going to happen if you couldn't pray about it and thwart it? Like, had I known about the New Orleans Katrina and the levees breaking, could we have prayed and prayed that that storm dwindle and move out and that not happen? And if it didn't happen, what would we have said? What would we have done? So my number one thought in this is, yeah, God showed me. We prayed about it. Nothing happened. Let's go on. Now I started looking back at the signs again to see if I missed anything, overthought something, or just completely misunderstood what I was getting. Then the coincidence of Dallas again and the night before the Super Bowl came to mind. Why did God give me another coincidence at that point in time when I had everything already down and confirmed? Why would I need to get another sign of Dallas? What was the point of that? It would be redundant. I don't think God is redundant. I do think he does things twice when asked for a confirmation. But I already had the Dallas sign twice and consecutively. Why did I need to get it again? In my mind, I was dead set on this being what it was. Obviously now, God knew I was wrong and was trying to tell me something. It wasn't the Super Bowl. Or it was thwarted by God who heard the prayers. Now I was very happy that many people did not die a horrific death on live TV. I don't even know what I would have done had it happened. I was such a mess watching that game. I think for that reason alone, the scripture that talks about not knowing the day or the hour is just perfect for that very reason, and I learned a valuable lesson. God has given me a season, if you will, of a jubilee year upon which he will come for his bride, but I have no idea of a day or an exact hour or time. And there was a thought of Atonement Sunday or the Day of Atonement, and that's possible, but I haven't looked that up. I don't know what day that would be. So what then did the Super Bowl coincidence mean? Why was I led to go speak at that church? Well, some things afterward may be a clue, but I don't know for sure. Here's what I have learned since then. On the day of the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl, a missile was launched from California. It was a Minotaur missile with a payload that they do not want to release exactly. Super secret stuff, you know. It was a missile that used Minuteman rocket boosters. About a month or so prior to that, another missile was launched about 35 miles off the coast of California, and the Pentagon denied that it was a missile when there was clear footage of a missile and many prominent people attested to it being a missile. You can see footage on YouTube. What does this mean and add up to, if anything? At the Super Bowl, George Bush was in attendance. It was just learned that around the time of the Super Bowl, this was also taking place in Dallas. This story was taken from ABC World News website, February 25, 2011. A 20-year-old terrorism suspect from Saudi Arabia, described as a lone wolf, was arrested by the FBI today on charges of attempting to build a bomb and targeting sites in California, New York, Colorado. Among the alleged targets were dams, nuclear plants, and the Dallas residence of former President George Bush. Khalid Ali M. Al-Dawsari, who has been in the United States since 2008, was studying in Texas on a student visa and has a background in chemical engineering. Al-Dawsari kept his alleged notes and research in email files that he sent to himself in a file allegedly named Nice Targets. According to the FBI affidavit on February 6, Al-Dawsari sent himself an email titled Tyrant's House, which listed the address of former President George W. Bush. Now, that was taking place in Dallas. Wow. Okay, so there are a couple of possibilities for stuff going on during the Super Bowl. But I still think that there is a warning for Dallas. These things may be a part of this, however. Something very serious may have been thwarted indeed. It's just that, well, Dallas is a big city. And I believe this warning was one that is bigger than just one bomb of one famous person's house. I think it was bigger than a possible misguided accidental missile from California making its way sporadically to Texas and doing some random act of damage to a few houses. I am also getting some other signs like the depression signs and people getting weak and sick and falling out. I believe this is way, way bigger than these things, and that is why I still believe that Dallas is in danger still, at least for a period of like 6 months or so. After that, I will think that the signs were a warning to pray for Dallas, and the warning is over and the threat is now gone. I can't remember the exact day of this next coincidence because I forgot to write it down when it happened, and I no longer have the email that was sent to me. My best guess was that it occurred February 16th to the 21st, 2011. I received an email from a man who sings for Jesus. His name is Doug Halleck. He occasionally emails out updates about his music and songs, and he was informing people about a song, two of them that he made it to the top of the chart in a web called Indie Heaven. I was not going to open the email when I was looking for it. I was going to do some other things I wanted to do, but as I was staring at the email he sent, I heard on the TV news in the background the newscaster talking about so-and-so Halleck. Some person named something Halleck. I was like, wow, did I hear that correctly? And the newscaster said the name again, Halleck. All right, I guess I need to open this email. I mean, come on, Halleck is not very popular. It's not a very popular name at all, and like Smith or Jones. So I did. I it stated that his song Depression had hit number one, and now his song Surrender had hit number one. Depression and Surrender. Lord, what are you telling me? Wow, July 27th, 2011. I have just found out something that I think is pretty amazing. Actually, it is dropping my jaw, and something is definitely going on here in a very, very, very big way. It has something to do with the Christian music stage that is going to be happening in Kettle River, Minnesota on August 12th and 13th, 2011. So let me start out by saying that if you have never heard me speak of this before, then you will now hear about it. And if you have heard me speak about this, then this will be pretty interesting for you to hear of what is about to happen, because this seems really, really interesting, and I have to wonder, what is God going to do? Because, oh my, something is up. Get this. Over the last 8 years, God has led me on a journey, a very big journey, which He has shown me a cross over the United States, along the shape of a cross over the entire United States. God has revealed 9 points along that cross. When I was first given this revelation, there were, I thought, only 7 points. Those 7 points were as follows: Austin, Arrow Rock, Hot Springs, Washington, D.C., Petersburg, Kentucky, Arrow Rock, Missouri, Grand Junction, Colorado, Point Arena, California. I was led to a specific church in each of these towns to reveal the message to. So those 7 points were given to me. And then just last summer, I was given 2 more points. The Lord basically told me that the area that I was in all along, where I live and attend church, was indeed the first location all along, but was not ever confirmed to me until the summer of 2010. That point, for a fact, Kettle River, Minnesota. When I found that out, I prayed to God and figured that if there was an eighth point, actually the first point, but I realized at eighth in order that there would have to be another point south of Arkansas to balance out the cross. So then you would have a center point and 2 points north, 2 south, 2 east, 2 west. God led me to and confirmed Natchitoches, Louisiana. I have driven to each and every location, over 20,000 miles round trip, and amazing signs and wonders confirmed each place. I have the entire testimony with all the signs recorded on my website at 2CC. You can download the document book called 2 for free. Now I want to get to the news, the big news. Our church and ministry within our church in Kettle River have been doing an outreach in our local community during the local festival, which happens every August. We decided to try and add a Christian music stage to this event this year, and we did. We are having this music stage for the second time this year. Now, if you have looked at the website address that I gave earlier in my testimony, it's at 2CC. The Lord has been giving me signs in the form of twos. The signs I've been getting are and have been of the number 2, things happening twice and consecutively. It really has been amazing. I do know that it does have something to do with his soon second coming. So this year I had booked 3 bands to come and play on our very small Christian music stage. The main band that I had booked wanted to play an additional night because they were coming from such a long way, Pennsylvania. I called around and tried to find a way to have a Friday night venue of some kind, some way, shape, or form, but nothing was opening up. Then at the meeting for the Ma and Pa Kettle Days Festival for Kettle River, we were discussing where they wanted to put the Christian music stage this year because for some reason last year some people complained that our music, the street music that our music across the street from the bar's main stage was interfering with theirs. So they offered to put us out in some field, which we were willing to go wherever they wanted because we just feel God will put us where he wants us. But we asked about access to power, and they responded that there was no power in that field. So that wouldn't work because we needed electricity for the sound system. Then they decided to move us down to the other end of the town near where the kids play, where they were able to set up the pony rides and the petting zoo right next to the restroom facilities and a small pavilion area. There is enough room, power available, and there's enough room for quite a few people to listen to music. And if it were to grow, the stage would just be moved back and back each year if needed. If you read my testimony on the website, you will read what I had prayed for 7 years ago, a family-oriented event with a Christian theme where Christ is glorified. Now, all of a sudden, during the meeting, the owner of the bar offered to have our out-of-town bands play under their big tent that they were renting. I thought, whoa, really? They even want to bill it as a Christian rock night. Okay, really? God, what are you doing here? I see something is going on and now I'm seeing it more clearly, but get this. Wow. Okay, so to the really, really, really amazing point finally, the local band from Brainerd dropped out, lost their drummer or something. The main band that got me trying to get Friday night gig in the first place all of a sudden backed out and got into a dispute and the lead singer left the band. 2 bands dropping out with only a month to go? Really? Okay, God, what are you doing? I had to email everyone I know to see what we could do or should do. Our church had some connections. The Anderson family of our church was able to book a headline band for the Friday night show and another band for the Saturday show. Praise God, but check this out. The band that they got Friday night, the night God opened up for us front and center in the bar's main tent stage, is called Silverline. I, just this evening, finally got around to checking out their website, and I happened to see that our event in Kettle River, Minnesota is listed in their calendar of upcoming show dates on their website for August 12th, 2011, Friday night in Kettle River, Minnesota at the Tower Tap Bar. But get this, and I had nothing to do with this, nor a clue of it happening. As this was all last minute, none of it was coordinated by me at all, but God Himself surely lined this up. Guess where that band, Silverline, is heading to right after they get done in Kettle River, Minnesota, and playing the very next weekend? Oh, come on now, you should be able to guess if you've been following the two signs and coincidence of this cross thing and happening with the cross. This is going to blow you away. It blew me away, and I'm still in shock. Austin, Minnesota. The very next point on the cross. Not only are they playing in Austin, Minnesota, but the exact same theater that they are playing in was and is the actual church that I first told of the signs of the cross to. I was led to that church as the first sign on the cross like 7 years ago. It used to be the Vineyard Church in Austin, Minnesota, but they just sold it recently, and the members there joined with another church that was out of the flood zone, as this theater, now called the Paramount Theater, floods when the river rises. I am just thinking that what are the odds? Are you kidding me? God is definitely moving here, and there is something going to be some kind of move of God. I'm thinking at not only Kettle River, but in Austin as well. I don't know what it'll look like or how it's going to happen, but whoa, this is amazing. I will be expecting something, anything, but will I know when it happens? What will it be? Will it happen that night, or will some signs and wonders follow later? What will they look like? Oh wow, for me this is really something special. They may not look like anything we've ever seen before. One other thing was prophesied about the cross was a pastor at one of the points in Colorado, and that says when this move of God happens, he said while prophesying, it will be known worldwide. Will it be a type of revival or some type of judgment on America about to begin? I have had many theories I thought of. I will just try and do the best I can. Stay humble and praise God through it all. Whatever happens, I know this is a part of something much bigger on a very grandiose scale. Whether it manifests August 12th and 13th or not, something is definitely happening with this. Time will tell. Whew. So, yeah, the fact that this band that they arranged to come up play at Kettle River, and then the next weekend they were playing in Austin at the exact same building. Okay, that's just like 2 points on the cross. I mean that's just a sign. It's a sign that it happened. I mean, this Crossfest thing happened, but it just didn't happen at all of the points yet. And it wasn't you know, a flooding full packed full of people where we did prayers and healings and baptisms in a river and all that. It wasn't that. It was just a little seed. Just a little seed planted, but God's doing something. What are the odds that this band plays there and then the next week they're in Austin in the same building that this church was in? I'm like, can you even make that up? Twice and consecutively. Just nuts. So I'm going to say that this is the end of part. I hope I get this right. I think this one's 28. We're going to be going into 29 shortly. And I just thank you for following along here and seeing what's happening and what's manifesting and what God is doing and how God's blowing my mind. And, you know, but look at how we jumped up here. We're already going to 2016. See, so things are starting to slow down here. Starting to slow down. We're getting close to the end, so probably just a couple more parts. And anyway, come back. We'll see you at the next part. Take care and God bless.